Welcome to the Mary Potter Podcast, your weekly portal to, the enchanting wizarding world of flash fiction.
It certainly is.
This week, get ready for a double dose of thrilling tales as we embark on a magical probe into two pretty captivating stories.
Definitely captivating.
First, we'll be diving headfirst into Aladdin's enchanted heist, but this isn't your typical, Saturday morning cartoon Aladdin.
Right.
Think more like a skilled mage marksman, this Aladdin.
Okay.
And he's teaming up with Princess Jasmine, who is now a very formidable sorceress.
Wow.
Their mission, and it's a high-stakes one,
I bet.
is to steal a magical artifact from the heavily guarded vault of Jafar, the notoriously nefarious Necromancer.
Classic Jafar.
Oh yeah, you know him.
Of course.
Expect daring escapes, some seriously potent magic, and a kingdom hanging in the balance as we unpack this thrilling twist on the classic, really focusing on those magical elements and the very surprising roles our heroes take on.
I'm excited to dive in.
Me too. It's a good one.
And then we'll completely shift gears for our second story.
Yeah, we're hopping aboard around the world in 80 spells.
Okay.
But forget your, Victorian gentleman making a leisurely wager.
Got it.
Our Phileas Fogg is a blue-collar warlock, very much a working-class wizard, with a seriously audacious bet to win.
What's the bet?
He wagers he can circumnavigate the globe, the entire world,
In 80 spells.
in just 80 days, using only magic and his, let's say, quick thinking.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is. Get ready for a whirlwind journey filled with rival magicians, supernatural obstacles, and some modes of transportation that you definitely won't find in any travel brochure.
I can only imagine.
We'll be exploring the creative and often chaotic, use of magic in this story, and the sheer audacity of Fogg's magical race against time.
It sounds like a really fun, fast-paced adventure.
Buckle up. It is. Okay, let's get right into it.
Sounds good.
Let's unpack this first magical probe, Aladdin's enchanted heist.
Okay.
The flash fiction story opens with a scene that feels both familiar and new.
Okay.
Aladdin, he's once again scaling palace walls.
He's good at that.
But this time he's using arcane sight instead of those trusty lockpicks.
Interesting.
And Princess Jasmine, now a formidable sorceress, is right there with him.
A real power couple.
They are. There's this great little exchange right at the start.
Oh, yeah.
Jasmine clinging to the wall, she hisses, "Hurry up."
Understandable.
And Aladdin, with a pretty significant drop below, just wryly observes that being good doesn't make gravity cooperate.
He's got a point.
It's a great little moment that tells you right away this isn't the Aladdin you remember.
Definitely a different take on the character.
Right, so what's driven this magically equipped duo to scale the palace walls again?
Yeah, what's the motivation?
Well, the Sultan, Jasmine's father, he's fading rapidly.
Oh, no.
And whispers point to Jafar as the culprit, our nefarious necromancer.
Always up to no good.
Their only hope for a cure is an antidote that's locked away in Jafar's hidden vault.
Classic fantasy trope.
It is.
Hidden magical artifact.
The story really frames this as a desperate gamble, emphasizing the immense risk they're taking.
Yeah, they're putting a lot on the line.
Why do you think the author chose to, immediately establish such high stakes right from the get-go?
Well, I think it immediately grabs the reader, or in this case, the listener.
Yeah.
Creates a sense of urgency and tension.
Hooks you in.
Exactly. And it makes us wonder, will they succeed? Will they fail?
Right away you're invested.
Exactly.
So as they approach this very heavily warded vault, the flash fiction story gives us a vivid sense of their contrasting magical styles.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Aladdin, he relies on precision, very controlled, using his arcane sight to kind of navigate these shimmering wards that are described as having a malevolent pulse.
Ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah, great sensory detail that adds to the tension.
Definitely.
Jasmine, on the other hand, she's all raw power.
Okay.
Her eyes blaze, and there's this surge of ancient magic that, cracks the very air around her.
Wow.
It's this fantastic juxtaposition, the controlled versus the explosive.
I like that contrast.
What do these different approaches to magic tell us about them as characters?
Well, I think Aladdin's precise, cautious approach suggests a more, studied form of magic.
Okay.
Something he's honed through practice and discipline.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which aligns with his background, someone who had to rely on cunning and skill to survive.
Right.
Jasmine's raw power, on the other hand, suggests a more natural talent.
Okay.
Or maybe even like a lineage connected to powerful magic.
Interesting.
It speaks to her royal status and, the
Yeah.
resources she's probably had access to.
Definitely a privilege that Aladdin didn't have.
Exactly. And that malevolent pulse of the wards.
Yeah.
It really kind of raises the question of what kind of magic is Jafar using?
Ooh, good point.
And just how dangerous it is.
Yeah.
Very ominous.
So they finally breach the halt.
Okay.
And the contents, well, let's just say they're not what you'd expect.
What do they find?
Forget gold and jewels.
Okay.
This vault, it's filled with bottled curses and artifacts that just radiate death magic.
That sounds dangerous.
Oh, it is. Real paints a picture of Jafar's, truly dark nature
Yeah.
and explains the Sultan's decline.
Right.
But then they find this vial that's thrumming with an energy that, eerily mirrors the Sultan's fading life force.
So they found the antidote.
You'd think so, right?
Shit.
But there's this, classic feeling of unease.
Like something's not quite right.
The story even notes that it feels almost too easy.
Oh, I don't like that.
Those moments in stories where you're like, this is too good to be true.
Exactly. It never is.
Why do you think experienced storytellers include moments like this?
It creates that false sense of security.
Okay.
It lulls both the characters and the audience, us, into thinking, oh, they've done it, they've achieved the goal.
Right.
And then, bam, the twist hits even harder.
Because you're not expecting it.
Exactly.
So, and right on cue, things take a turn, figuratively speaking.
What happens?
Jafar, he materializes from the shadows, reaching out with these skeletal hands. So creepy.
He does love a dramatic entrance.
Oh, he does. And what follows is this, really dramatic duel between him and Jasmine.
Okay.
Described as this chaotic clash of light and darkness, good versus evil.
Classic magical battle.
In the midst of this magical storm, Aladdin seizes the vial.
He's got it.
He's got it, but he's feeling this searing heat from it. It's a really desperate, frantic moment.
Yeah, you can feel the tension.
What does Aladdin's action in all this chaos tell us about his priorities?
Well, despite the, the crazy magical battle happening all around him,
Yeah.
Aladdin's focus stays laser focused on the mission, on getting that antidote.
Yeah.
I think it shows his loyalty to Jasmine and the Sultan
Of course.
and his courage, in the face of danger.
He doesn't hesitate.
Not at all. He's not just standing there passively.
Yeah.
He's actively putting himself at risk to achieve the goal.
Then Jasmine's urgent cry rings out. Just one word. Run.
And he listens.
Oh, he does. He doesn't hesitate. He flees, trusting Jasmine to hold Jafar off.
That's a lot of trust.
It is, and the story makes a really interesting observation here.
What's that?
It states that trust, it turned out, was a skill as vital as any spell.
Wow, that's deep.
It is, in a world full of magic, why is trust portrayed as being equally important?
Because in a world where magic can be used to deceive, to manipulate,
Yeah.
trust becomes this really precious thing.
It's powerful.
It is. It speaks to the bond that Aladdin and Jasmine have.
They have each other's backs.
They do. It suggests that their connection to each other is just as important to their success as their magical abilities.
It makes you think about the power of teamwork.
It does. It's not just about individual strength.
Right.
It's about the alliances you build.
Their escape, it's this thrilling sequence of magical ingenuity.
I bet it is.
Carpets woven from moonlight. How cool is that?
Very cool. Very evocative.
Secret passages.
Yeah.
And Aladdin surprises us with some serious magical marksmanship skills. Conjuring fire bolts to fend off their pursuer.
I didn't realize he had it in him.
It's a real high-octane action sequence with a magical twist.
Like something out of a movie.
What does this emphasis on creativity during their escape tell us about magic in this world?
It suggests that magic is about more than just, raw power.
Right.
It's about creativity, adaptability.
You got to think on your feet.
Exactly. Using magic in unexpected ways to overcome those obstacles.
Right.
And Aladdin's really good at that.
So they reach the Sultan's chambers, finally.
They made it.
Exhausted, but seemingly successful.
Okay.
The Sultan, who was so frail just moments ago, is now sitting up,
What?
revitalized.
Like nothing happened.
He manages to rasp out, "You found it."
So the antidote worked.
Well, here comes the twist.
Oh, no. I knew it.
As Aladdin offers the vial,
Yeah.
its contents, they suddenly curdle, transforming into this, monstrous shape.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
It wasn't the cure, it was the curse.
So it was a trap.
Follow along.
I knew it was too easy.
What purpose does such a significant twist serve at this point in this story?
It really throws the audience for a loop.
It does.
Subverts expectations.
You think they've won?
Exactly.
And then bam, they're in even more danger.
Classic storytelling.
It is. It is. And as if on cue, Jafar's voice echoes from the doorway.
Of course.
Clever boy, he says, with such cold satisfaction.
Oh, he's enjoying this.
Oh, he is. You just delivered my weapon straight to the heart of the kingdom.
He's so manipulative.
He really is. It's a truly impactful moment.
It is. It completely recontextualizes everything we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Their efforts, their heroism.
Yeah.
It was all part of Jafar's plan.
They played right into his hands.
Exactly. It's a good reminder to never underestimate a cunning villain.
But wait, there are more surprises.
There's more.
The Sultan rises, the ominous vial in his grasp.
Okay.
But he's not the frail ruler we saw before.
What's happened?
He transforms into this, powerful warrior king.
Oh, well.
Radiating ancient magic. He reveals he's been waiting for decades to draw Jafar out.
He's been playing the long game.
The heist. It wasn't their plan.
It was his.
What does this revelation about the Sultan add to the story?
Oh, it adds so much.
It does.
It suggests that there's this whole hidden history, you
Yeah.
know, and this long-term strategy going on behind the scenes.
And we had no idea.
It really makes you question everything you thought you knew about the characters.
And their motivations.
Exactly. The Sultan going from this, seemingly weak figure to this powerful warrior.
Amazing.
It's a great twist.
Just when you think you've grasped all the twists, there's another.
Another one.
Jasmine. She reveals a hidden artifact kept secret by the Sultan
Okay.
as it flares to life in her hand.
Yeah.
Ancient wards erupt, a counterspell, older than Jafar himself.
Wow.
It completely foils Jafar's plan.
So the Sultan and Jasmine, they were prepared.
They were one step ahead.
Amazing.
It seems there were secrets within secrets in this story. So in the aftermath, Aladdin can't help but yearn for, those simpler days of just being a thief.
I bet it's been a wild ride.
But the Sultan, with a knowing chuckle, welcomes him into the family, recognizing his, unexpected heroism.
That's nice.
And Jasmine, she offers him a knowing smirk. It's clear this isn't the end of their adventures.
They make a good team.
They do. The story concludes with this thought-provoking line. The most dangerous powers aren't locked in vaults, but reside in the people you trust.
It's true. Trust can be a powerful weapon.
Especially when it's betrayed.
Exactly.
After all these layers of deception and revelation,
Yeah.
how does that final thought resonate with you?
It emphasizes the, importance of relationships, even in this magical world.
Yeah.
The story is full of magic and spells and artifacts.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it comes down to the bonds between people.
The human element.
Exactly.
Okay, let's journey to a completely different corner of the wizarding world with our second magical probe. Around the world in 80 spells. We're introduced to Phileas Fogg.
All right.
But this is not your, typical Victorian gentleman.
Oh.
This Fogg, he is a blue-collar warlock.
What's that?
The story describes his magic as, practical,
Okay.
even a bit rough around the edges, honed in his soot-stained workshop.
So not a fancy wizard?
Not at all. Very much a working-class magic user.
I like that.
His motivation for this bet, to travel the world in 80 days using only magic,
Yeah.
isn't just about the money.
There's got to be more to it than that.
He wants to prove those puffed-up aristocrats at the Reform Club wrong.
It's personal.
It is. It is. Real underdog story.
I'm rooting for him.
Me too.
Yeah.
So why do you think this reimagining of Fogg as, a working-class warlock is so compelling?
Well, it adds a layer of, social commentary to
Right.
the classic adventure story.
Interesting.
By making him a blue-collar warlock, the author is kind of contrasting him with the perceived elitism of the magical community.
Makes him an outsider.
Exactly, and his journey becomes not just a physical one,
Okay.
but also a symbolic one.
No.
A challenge to the status quo.
He's shaking things up.
He is, and I think that makes him a more relatable, even inspiring figure.
I agree.
Definitely rooting for the underdog.
And his approach to travel, well, it's anything but refined.
How so?
His travel case is full of these hastily scribbled sigils,
Okay.
questionable potions,
Oh, no.
and a spell book that's seen better days.
It sounds like he's making it up as he goes along.
And his apprentice, Gene, poor guy, he's definitely in for a wild ride.
Oh, I bet.
What does all this tell us about Fogg's magical style?
It's definitely more about practicality than
Right.
elegance.
He's a problem solver,
Exactly. He's willing to experiment, take risks.
not afraid to break the rules.
Exactly.
So their journey, it kicks off with a jury-rigged flying carpet to Cairo.
A flying carpet. How fun.
But the story notes it has questionable aerodynamics.
Oh, no. That's not good.
But excellent views.
Well, Something's...
Then in Singapore, a transmutation spell goes awry.
Oh.
Almost turns Phileas into an orangutan.
Oh my goodness.
Apparently there was a whole incident with customs.
I can imagine.
Then in Yokohama, he negotiates safe passage through a storm with the local kami,
The kami.
spirits or minor deities in Japanese mythology.
Oh, right, of course.
Using a very hastily drawn spirit contract
Okay.
and a bottle of very potent homemade brandy.
He's resourceful.
This is definitely not your typical world tour.
Sounds chaotic, but fun.
What do these early adventures reveal about the challenges Fogg will face?
Well, it's clear that this is going to be a very unpredictable journey.
Okay.
He's dealing with, geographical distances, sure.
Yeah.
But also with the unpredictable nature of magic itself.
Right.
And the different magical cultures he encounters.
You got to be adaptable.
Absolutely. Think on his feet.
But it seems Fogg's unorthodox progress has caught the attention of, well, let's just say the magical elite.
Uh-oh.
And they're not happy.
What, they don't like his methods?
They do not. This workshop hack. Potentially embarrassing their esteemed professor.
You're probably
A
jealous.
little bit. So suddenly the obstacles start to multiply.
They're trying to stop him.
They are. We're talking a duel at dawn over the Taj Mahal.
No way.
Against an illusionist who makes the whole structure vanish.
Can you imagine?
I know. Then an ambush on the Trans-Siberian Express by a shaman wielding a blizzard.
Things are escalating.
They are. How do these magical confrontations differ from, the challenges Aladdin and Jasmine faced?
Well, these feel much more, directly adversarial.
Oh.
These are magic users who are deliberately trying to stop Fogg.
Yeah.
Aladdin and Jasmine, they have Jafar.
One big bad.
Exactly. But Fogg, he's facing a series of opponents, all with different motivations.
And different powers.
And a lot of them are driven by, the magical community's disapproval.
They don't like that he's an outsider.
They want to put him back in his place.
In the midst of all this chaos, Fogg's apprentice, Jean, who isn't a powerful magic user himself,
Right.
he becomes this, really vital source of strength.
Really?
His unwavering belief in Fogg, even when things look bleak, becomes a kind of power itself.
It's the power of believing in someone.
What does this suggest about support, belief in achieving something impossible?
It shows that even in a world of magic, human connection matters.
The power of friendship.
Exactly. Jean's belief in Fogg gives him strength.
Like a magical boost.
You could say that. It suggests that qualities like loyalty, faith, they can be just as powerful as any spell.
And their Atlantic crossing, well, let's just say it wasn't on a luxury liner.
Oh. How did they cross the ocean?
Fogg managed to persuade a disgruntled kraken to give them passage.
Crack.
The story says, excellent muscle, terrible sense of direction.
I can only imagine what that trip was like.
Probably very wet, very bumpy.
So he bribed a kraken.
He did. What does that tell us about Fogg?
He's resourceful.
He's
willing to do whatever it takes.
He's got that win-at-all-costs mentality.
But he's also, able to negotiate with magical creatures.
Yeah. Which is a skill in itself.
So, against all odds, smelling very distinctly of the ocean,
I bet.
Phileas stumbles back into the Reform Club just in time.
He made it.
He did. The aristocrats are stunned.
They didn't think he could do it.
They didn't. What's the significance of him succeeding despite all those obstacles?
It shows that he's not just lucky.
Okay.
He's ingenious, determined.
He earned that win.
He did. And it validates his unconventional approach to magic.
Yeah.
He proved them wrong.
But, of course, winning in such a, unorthodox way creates a whole new set of problems.
Of course it does.
Suddenly, they're facing angry envoys from ancient spirit courts.
Oh.
A very grumpy dragon with indigestion.
Oh.
Who blames them for disturbing its nap.
That sounds serious.
And even Jean's disapproving mother sends a strongly worded owl.
He's in trouble.
It seems Fogg's trip has ruffled a few feathers.
Or scales.
What do these unexpected consequences tell us about the magical world?
It shows that actions have consequences.
Even magical ones. Especially magical ones. Fogg's journey, it wasn't just a personal challenge.
Okay.
He disrupted the magical world.
He upset the balance.
Exactly, and now he's got to face the music.
So we leave Phileas back in his workshop.
Okay.
Probably plotting his next adventure.
There's always another adventure.
The story concludes that trouble and adventure seem to go hand in hand for Fogg.
That's a good way to put it.
Jean offers him some celebratory tea, But there's still the issue of the Dragon and Fog's favorite coat.
Oh yeah, those are loose ends.
It's clear that his adventures are far from over.
I can't wait to see what he does next.
Two wildly different stories,
They were.
both showcasing the unpredictable nature of magic.
And the resilience of those who wield it.
We hope these magical probes into the wizarding world have sparked your imagination.
They were certainly imaginative.
So what resonated most with you?
It's a tough choice.
It is?
Were you more captivated by Aladdin's enchanted heist?
Yeah.
With its twists and turns, the political intrigue?
Or Around the World in 80 Spells?
With its chaotic fun and, just sheer audacity?
It's hard to choose.
They were both great in their own ways.
I think I was most captivated by the layers of deception in Aladdin.
Okay.
But there's something so inventive and fun about Fogg's journey.
It's a classic adventure story, but with magic.
Exactly.
It's hard not to enjoy that.
So for those of you listening, what other classic tales do you think would be good for a magical reimagining?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'm imagining a magical detective story.
Okay.
Or a historical epic with, wizards and mythical creatures.
It would be interesting to see how magic would change those genres.
Right.
What new possibilities would it open up?
Join us next week for another magical probe into the wizarding world.
Sounds good.
And don't forget to rate and follow the Mary Potter podcast for more captivating stories.